Hi, I'm Whack.
Hey, and I'm Pat, and thank you for joining us for the 50th episode of the Weekly Orbit. This week ending,
Congratulations.
congratulations to both of us, 19th of
Yeah,
April. So we've been doing this about a year, and today's the 50th, and we're going to talk about that later in the show. We got some stuff planned for it, but we're going to try to do this week's Rocket Pool news in about 30 minutes, add some commentary, some market talk, and I don't know, how's your week been?
it's been okay, thanks. Yeah, I got an airdrop, which is always nice. And
Yeah, we're
other
going
than
to talk
that, it's
about
just
that.
been,
I have
yeah, we're
not
going to
given
talk
an
about that.
job yet.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah,
No,
but
so
it's all
frustrating.
good.
Well, let's talk about markets first. And man, it was a volatile week. It was a pretty hefty market correction. It went throughout the whole market, but especially the long tail assets like stuff like RPL and Lido and other things. Corrected even more because the bait. It's classic markets, right? Smaller tokens have a higher beta, so that means they go up more and they also go down more. But this
Yeah,
week, currently at $3,039 for ETH price. Okay, last week we were at 30 over 3,500. So we dropped
down
below
10%.
3,000, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we went down to 2,900 basically, and then we kind of like went up a little bit and then back down below 3,000 and then slowly going back up. If you just scroll down a little bit on the page, you can see right at the bottom there's the 1 week, yeah, down 12.5%, basically 12.8%. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
12.8. Yeah,
hmm.
and let's take a look at RPL, see how it did.
Do we have to?
Yeah, well, no, hey, we're trying to give unbiased opinion here. So
Yeah.
we are the deliverer of bad news.
Hmm.
So right now in US dollars, the market pool is at $20.14. Um, Over the last week, it was down 23.5%. So that
Yeah.
is double what ETH went down. And take
Yeah.
a look at Lido. It was a competitor, similar profile to us. It
Yeah.
was down 21% for the week. So very similar. And the ETH ratios were about the same too. If you compare it to ETH,
Yeah.
Lido and RPL kind of mimicked each other in its sell-off. So what do you think? Where are we at here? This is obviously a correction broadly.
Yeah.
And are we going to, so there's a couple things that could happen. We could just kind of play around in this range for a little bit until the market consolidates and then we head back up, or we crab for this for a long period of time, or perhaps we crab and then go back down. What are your thoughts overall,
I wish I
if you
knew
have any?
because then I could trade it.
Oh
No, I
no,
think,
no.
yeah, I think there's lots of
You're here
different
for
ideas.
opinions. Give him one. Give one.
Yeah, I am. I think there's lots of different ideas about where we are in the market right now, and the truth is that no one really knows. There's this idea that we're on Bitcoin went through a distribution phase, and it's now like on the other side of that, which means that it's going to correct downwards. And if BTC goes downwards right now, all the alts are basically weak against BTC, so they'll correct down further even more, which means that we might see new lows coming in for ETH against BTC in the next few months. So that's one theory. The other theory is that this is a left translated cycle. So this is just, one of the speed bumps along the way. It's like not even anything worth noticing. Just give it a few more days. We'll be back into up only mode. And, by the end of the year, we'll be hitting all like crescendoing, like, peak of the market kind of stuff. The other thing is like crypto's dead, like this is all a scam, it's all going to zero. Like the truth is like no one really knows. Like all we can do is keep building and keep working, and that's what we're doing, and that's what the Rocket Pool team and community are doing, and we're setting ourselves up for the best possible outcome when the market like decides to move upwards, because you need those catalysts, right? Like you need those narratives that kind of like people will buy into. And if we can get that, in the next few months, so like if the price starts turning around and we've got that momentum, then that will be really good for us. But no one knows. Like, the truth is, like, no one
Yeah.
knows what's going to happen. So, yeah.
Well, if crypto is
Sorry.
dead, I'm glad we got at least 50 episodes in, and we can just pack it up for next week. I'm done. We don't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
thank
well,
God.
it's never going to be dead. Of course, it's never going to be
Yeah.
dead. But like with all this
Yeah.
FUD going around with like Ethereum, with the SEC and like Uniswap and the Ethereum Foundation and all this kind of stuff, like it's just putting, I think, a sour taste in people's mouth. And then the people are looking forward to the ETH ETF, and that is almost definitely not going to happen now. And Then with Houston getting delayed for Rocket Pool, like all of these things are just kind of not fun. But you
Hmm.
need like those positive, you need those wins, right? You need that like win ladder, and that's what we're trying to find our footing to get onto the first step of it. And I'm hoping that that will come with like Houston and some good news that comes after that. But we need a broader like positive sentiment,
Yeah.
and sadly that's still some weeks away yet.
Something like this is not actually, it is expected. We talk about the
Mm-hmm.
wall of worry in a bull market. Well, I think Anthony Sassano was saying on one of his recent shows, we had something like 9 or 10 straight months of monthly candles, of green candles. Like
Mm-hmm.
month after month, we're up, we're up, we're up. And you start to wonder, this can't go up all the time every month.
Yeah.
Where is the worry on the wall? I haven't seen it yet. And now first we've hit our first bump of the worry. And I think that's actually good in a way that, okay, this is what normally happens. And we'll probably might have a couple more bumps, in the future, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're at. In the short run, there's some macro stuff, with interest rates might not be lowered as expected like I think some analysts are thinking June, we might get a rate cut. That's that might be on hold now for a little bit because the economy
September
and the
maybe.
inflation is right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's priced in, and then you got the ETFs or ETH probably going to be, I would say delayed. I don't want to say denied. I think
Yeah.
eventually we're going to get them, but so we got maybe a couple bumpy months or weeks coming up, but I think overall, we'll be good. You know, that's my
Yeah.
positive spin for the week. But
One way or another.
when stuff like this happens, I think, hey, buy the dip. If you're a long-term investor who believes on the fundamentals on ETH and Rocket Pool, then this is an opportunity for you that down the road you might think.
Let
This is
me
not financial
just
advice,
yeah.
but
Let
I'm
me
just
just
saying, like say buy the dip, right?
Yeah, so I exited some of my validators this week because I'm going to use that ETH to buy RPL. So that's not financial advice. You guys don't follow
Yep.
me, do whatever you want. But that's the choice that I'm making here. It looks like I'm going to be spending some of that ETH to buy RPL because these prices are just amazing. Like I see the upside, and I think that it'll be really quick to see that. So yeah,
Yeah, we're at the ETH ratio, the ETH RPL ratio, which is the
cycle
prior
low
uh, cycle low was what point we were at point, what was it
zero
back in
zero
like a
seven
couple of years ago?
five.
Yeah, so we blew through
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're, again, like you said, if you believe in Rocket Pool, this will be a good time because you may not see a ratio like this in the future. And it could go lower too, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if you like this, it's always it's hard to sell when the market's hot, and it's hard to buy when the market's not, right?
Exactly.
And the market's not it's a not right now. But that's how folks, you kind of have to go against the grain on both ends if you,
Yeah.
in the end, want to make money. Okay, on to some news. We haven't touched on last week we touched on the deposit pool. We had a nice splash this morning, 2,000 ETH deposit in the deposit pool to mint some rETH. This came from the Safe Treasury, is that right?
No, this is from Gnosis Chain.
Oh,
So it's
Gnosis Chain, sorry.
a separate blockchain. It's kind of almost like an incentivized testnet for Ethereum, pretty much. And they have, their own treasury, and they use their ETH, 2000 ETH to mint our ETH. So it was nice of them to make a splash, which is nice. We don't see them too often nowadays. So it's definitely cool
Right.
that they did that. Yeah.
Yeah, and for so long we were full at 18,000 or more. So you get a treasury like this who's been maybe waiting on the sidelines, waiting for advance, and they got their chance. Right now, the balance in the deposit pool is about, so there's still a lot of room. If we look down at daily deposits, over the last week, we're anywhere from a couple hundred ETH to so today 2,200 ETH, and so hopefully we'll start getting more deposits in all the time, minting our ETH. And we talked about this, I think, last week, where the IMC has that ability it's not in their charter to incentivize our ETH, but potentially down the road where we focus so much effort on the like version 2 of Rocket Pool on node operator side. But there's the other side, which is our ETH. That's the main product for Rocket Pool.
Hmm.
That we got to make sure there's demand for that too. Otherwise, we'll be out of balance.
Exactly, yeah. So that the IMC may be able to add the direct incentivization of minting of our ETH. Like I said, that's
Mhm.
outside their charter right now. The way they do it is incentivizing liquidity, which then
Yep.
indirectly incentivizes the minting of our ETH. So
Right.
they've got some potentially some levers they can pull in the future, which will be nice.
Cool. Another thing came up this week. We're going to talk about some airdrops. So Superphiz, he's putting together a little something. He says, "I'm writing a guide to best practice for airdroppers who want to airdrop to stakers. Can you remind me of the do's and don'ts? Please keep this generic and to home stakers, not necessarily rocket poolers." So you had one thing that's come up. This is now, I don't know, the third or fourth airdrop where there's been. It seems like there's a general consensus amongst uh, the crypto public that, okay, let's reward those who have staked and secured the Ethereum network. But the execution of that has been pretty lousy so far.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little later. So I guess Superfizz has taken the initiative here to let's write up a guide so that if you are a protocol looking to drop, what would be the best way to do it? Because right now they haven't figured that out yet. So you had a nice, I thought, a suggestion. You said let people claim the token like we did with Diva in a locked way, even if it's just for a few days, so we can get airdrops at zero cost basis. Would you like to explain what you meant by that?
Yeah, so when you claim a token like Omni yesterday, right? Like or the day before, day yesterday, what happened is like at 7 a.m. you go and you claim your Omni and it's already trading on the secondary market, so it has a value at the moment that you claim that token. At that point it becomes income, right? Like and that income is whatever the value of the token is. So it was somewhere around like $2,000, I think. Like it was trading at $30 or $40. So somewhere around 2,000 to $2,500. Now I have to pay income tax on that, right? Like that's 30%, 40%, whatever your bracket is, you'll be paying income tax on that amount. So as soon as you claim the airdrop, you're paying, $1,000 out of it to tax. And of
Mhm.
course, we're not ever going to give tax avoidance advice or anything like that. But what can happen is if that token is released to you and goes into your wallet, but is locked in your wallet, then it's not trading. And because it's not trading, it has no value. It's zero value, right? So there's no income tax to pay on that if it lands in your wallet and it's locked. So this is what happened with the Diva token, like in last year, I think it was in August last year. We got the Diva token, we got the airdrop, and it was in our wallets and it was locked. There was no value to it. So I didn't pay income tax on that this year because there's nothing for me to pay income tax on. But once Diva token becomes sellable, then there's going to be a market that develops for it, and then it will have value. So it might be $1, it might be $2. Like with Omni, it was like 30 to 40, $50 at launch, and then since then it's been kind of bleeding down. But once you have a value to it, then you can sell it. But because the income was zero and the cost base is zero, then all the amount that you sell is as capital gains tax. So that in most jurisdictions is taxed as a lower amount than your
Mhm.
income is, and it becomes much more tax preferential for protocols to do that. So I was really happy that Diva did that. The problem with
Yeah,
Diva is that they waited too long, right? Like we still don't have access to our Diva tokens. Well, we do have access to them, we can't sell them.
they're
But
soul bound, I think is the term, right?
at the moment, yeah, at the moment they're soul bound, but that's unlockable, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen yet. But with other
Hmm.
tokens, like they can do it for 3 days, a week, and then they'll get that hype as well. Like they get the hype of the airdrop when people claiming it, then they'll get a hype of launch. So with those things happening, I think it's a really smart way of doing it, and it helps everyone.
Yeah,
And the main thing that helps the protocols is that people don't have to dump 30, 40, 50% of their airdrop just to pay for tax. You know what I mean? People are going to sell it because they don't have any loyalty to the project most of the time. So they're happy to sell it. But those protocols would actually do better because they're reducing their sell pressure by so much. It'll give them a much better launch. So I think it's just good for everyone all around.
right. So Diva is the
Yeah.
exception because vast majority of protocols don't do it. There we go. Boom.
Yep.
And I mean, that your logic makes a lot of sense. I'm just curious on why protocols haven't done that yet.
Maybe there's
They're just,
technical
you know,
difficulties. I'm not sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
or they're like, well, we'll take the hit on the price because we want to generate all this crazy hype, right?
Hmm.
Maybe that's their rationale. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's a good. So if you got any ideas for Fizz, we'll post the link here. Is he's one thing we're going to talk about next is Omni. So Omni, they stated they're going to drop to now Omni is, as far as I know, they're a AVS on EigenLayer, right?
Yeah.
So was that alternative variable staker? I'm not. I think what's
No,
the
actively
acronym?
validated service. Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay,
they
I got
are
totally
actually,
wrong.
yeah, that's okay. They're also like building their own blockchain and something about rollups and stuff. So they've got a whole bunch of like buzzwords. Yeah,
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 right. So whatever. But they said, hey,
yeah.
we're going to be a good member of the community, and we're going to distribute out to stakers. But uh, we had the same problem with StarkNet. Right? Type in your address, and it's like, oh, you're not eligible. So before we get into that, though, I want to talk about just good hygiene when it comes to security. If you hear about airdrops, if you're on Twitter, you're going to see every other ad is like, hey, airdrop, airdrop ad. And I'm like, I would say, I'll say 100% of them are just crap. It's a scam. Do not click on those. Go directly to, make sure you've got the validated Twitter handle. Okay, you got to
Even
make
then, you need
sure.
to be careful
Even then, you see like this
because they could
little
get
yellow,
hacked. Yeah.
right?
No,
That's right.
but with the rocket pool, we had tweets going out of rocket pool airdrop when the rocket pool
Correct.
Twitter got hacked.
Right.
So it's like the best thing to do is just verify before you do
Right.
anything. Like talk to other people, like don't ape right away.
Right. Well, I mean, one thing you'll
Yeah,
see is you make sure. Well, first of all, try to verify that this is the right Twitter. One
yeah.
thing you can see is like here we got 4 followers.
You can
So
buy
okay,
followers.
right. Might be. But then maybe you go to their Discord, right? And go in their Discord and just make sure
Omni's
you see something.
Discord actually got hacked on the night of the
Okay,
launch.
there we go.
So they were
Right.
sending out fake airdrop links.
Yeah.
So it's a
Right.
crazy world out there. Like you just have to be super careful. Like please be
Right.
careful.
Yeah. Be careful. I mean, there is a thread in the Rocket Pool Discord
Yes,
for
go
airdrops
there.
too. You might want to
Yes,
go there.
yes.
So that, as you see, it's like multiple steps you verify
Yeah,
just to make sure you don't connect your wallet to a scam that's going to drain you. So I just want to say that in general, there is no, I guess, way, it's that clean cut. Like I can't just say, oh, do this and you'll be fine. And just like, well, you got to make sure you do multiple things. Okay. I just want to get that out of the way because we don't want to see any rocket poolers get scammed. We occasionally see someone come into Discord and say, oh my gosh, my wallet got drained. And, our heart goes out to those folks. So anyways, uh, good hygiene. Try to do it what you can.
yeah,
So they have a link. Okay, here's the page. I forgot to go to Canada this morning to claim it because most of these drops are going to be banned to U.S. residents because Gary Gensler wants to make sure he protects me from free money because it could.
yeah,
It's just so stupid. But anyways, if you click on that, like for me, I put my node address in or my withdrawal address, and it's like, sorry, eligible. You're like, well, what the right? So here, Samus has posted. There's a way to interact directly with the contract on either scan, and he lists 1, 2, 3 steps. And here's the contract. Here you would go click on the has rewards part of the contract. You copy and paste your address, hit query, and it'll tell you if you're eligible. So I did this morning. And it still says I'm not. So you're like, what the heck? But I wanted to. We could talk about this for a little bit. What is Omni? Have they been updating their address list? From Rated Network or wherever they're getting. What's the current status on the Omni airdrop?
yeah. So the OMNI Airdrop was a bit of a mess. So they did a few things that they shouldn't have done, I think. So the first thing they did was missed out a whole bunch of people who they thought were going to get the rewards. The second thing they did was like added a sense of urgency into their rewards as well. They said we're going to give it to solo stakers, but only the first 5,000. So it's a first come first serve, which makes people take shortcuts in their security, which is obviously not good. Another thing they did was they made changes to the lists like multiple times. So at certain points, people were told they would be eligible. Then later they were told they were not eligible. And then for some people, they remained ineligible like the whole time. But other people then later became eligible again. So like there was just a lot of confusion about how they're doing it. And I think they were still updating the lists until yesterday like afternoon. I think that's when they stopped updating the lists. So there was a whole lot of like mixed messaging. Like I said, the Omni Discord was hacked the night before the airdrop, so that was prime target for people, for bad links going out there. There was a whole lot of mess going on, and sadly, like this is the reason why Fizz wanted to make that document that we were talking about earlier. Is he wants it to be like a best practice that protocols do, and the
Hmm.
outcome of that will be that these stakers will know what to expect from that. So other people gave really good advice about like what lists to use, which lists are best, and also
Yeah.
the protocols that give rationales for why they're choosing specific people, and also why they're not choosing other people. Like for example, I got it and you didn't. Like why did I get it but you didn't? Right? Like what's the question mark there? Because it's not about node index. It's not about any of those kind of things. So um, there's there were a lot of issues with this airdrop, and same with the Stark airdrop. They had issues too, and a lot of these could be fixed with just a little bit of clear communication. But sadly, I think the protocols focus more about getting the hype than getting
Yeah.
like a good quality service to people. And they'll complain, hey, look, you're an e-beggar, like you're complaining because you didn't get free money, like it's none of like whatever, like tough luck. But even then, it kind of
Mhm.
puts a sour taste in people's mouths, because you want there to be the positivity right at the beginning of your protocol launch. You want there to be as much positivity as possible, and these guys are doing it in a way that it's kind of making that less, and that's not good.
Then he reached out to the team of Omni and he put a ticket in officially.
Mhm.
And they said a couple days ago, like, oh, we're going to have this fixed ASAP, specifically for rocket poolers. Has there been any further communication there,
I'm
as far as you
not
know,
sure.
with Ken?
I'm Yeah, I didn't see Ken back again, so I don't know if he was
Mm.
eligible or not. But they did after that point. They did make changes to the policy for solo stickers. I think they added more and tweaked things around. Like, let me give you an example, right? Like, so at one point, my node address was eligible, which is fine. It means that I just have to load my node keys onto a ledger and able to claim it. Then on the day before the rewards happened, after this Ken thing, then my withdrawal address also became eligible. So I was like, awesome, I'm getting double airdrop. But then
No.
overnight and the morning before the thing, it changed again to just go back to my node address. So there was just a bit of a mess. Like, so I'm not sure what ended up happening with Ken, but they were trying to make changes, but I don't know how it all ended up.
Was there a cutoff date or snapshot date for node addresses,
We
as
don't
far
know
as you
any of
know?
those details. No.
Mm. I was
Yeah.
just wondering. And when you said um, you, your node a lot of folks don't feel comfortable using their node address to claim this stuff. And you
Mhm.
mentioned, you kind of lend your keys to a wallet in order to claim it. That's similar to how we did it with Diva last year, wasn't it?
No, so Diva was what I was explaining to Fizz later on in my comments to him was let a third wallet claim on behalf of the receiving wallet.
Oh, okay.
So that's what Diva did last year. So Diva had a couple of really good things in the airdrop. It's just the only problem with
Yeah.
Diva is that it's been soulbound for so long. But otherwise, they had a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
With these guys, like you had to get your keys from your wallet, put it onto a hardware wallet, not on a MetaMask or something like that, like directly, because that could get compromised. And then the other thing is some people got it to their withdrawal address, which is actually
Mm.
much riskier than your node address, because if your withdrawal address gets compromised, then any stake that gets withdrawn from your network, from your node, goes there, and that can all be gone basically. So it's kind of scary when you think about it, but
Hmm.
that was giving people a lot of pause. So I think there's some people in the Rocky Pool community who just didn't bother claiming the Omni airdrop because of those reasons.
Okay. The last news item, we've been talking tokenomics for a while now. Samus went through and he broke down, because we had like one giant thread. Just so if you're out there and you want to follow along where we're at, he's broken down the tokenomics into 5 different threads. You got bonds and MEV, you've got liquidity provider deposits, you have surplus revenue, you have UARs, and you have RPL issuance. So we'll put this in the show notes. If you want to follow along or contribute, uh, just want to throw that out there. What does UARS stand for?
So it's the new name for the Universal Variable Commission. Is because they're
Mm,
actually they're talking about including other factors into that instead of just the rETH commission. There'll be other things like, the voter share and other things that will be tweaked as well. So I
mm.
forgot what the acronym stands for. Universal something. I forgot what it is. But if you click on it, the first post will explain it. If you scroll right to the top, there's not that much there. Yeah,
Universal
universal
adjustable revenue
revenue
splits.
splits. There you go. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's why it's
Yeah.
because they're adding more things to it as well now. So those are the discussions that are going on. Some of these threads have a lot more engagement than others. Like this
Yeah.
one doesn't have that much engagement, but the one for like the liquidity providers, one has a lot of engagement. So that
Yes.
one, even I've been engaging in that one as well. So
Yeah.
there's some really good ideas
Cool.
going around in there. And I actually wouldn't mind for this to win in terms of like the direct capture. So we'll see how it goes. But there's still discussions ongoing. We're still some ways away from a vote. So definitely, get your
Yeah,
ideas
on the
out
vote,
there.
what do you think in terms of broad timelines? What do you think? And
Maybe 6 weeks to a vote, like somewhere in May, I guess end of May. I was thinking it would be the beginning of May, but
Mhm.
with the node set guys putting forward their criticisms, I think the community just wants to like really talk it out. But I don't even know what's actually going to go to vote. Like in all honesty, because we haven't like really decided on what the different options will be. There's a lot of work left to be done, like before we go
Mhm.
to a vote. So I'm thinking maybe 6 to 8 weeks before we go to a vote.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And our last item for the week, as we talked about, today's our 50th episode, and Schifrin has done a great job creating a POAP for the weekly orbit's 50th to commemorate it. And so what we're going to do, Whack, is similar. In the past, you've done something like this where we're going to do a sale, and I think we're going
Hmm.
to do like $5 per POAP and distribute out like 50 of those. And you can buy it, and then what we're going to do is you buy it in ETH, and we're going to do it on an L2, like for example, Arbitrum, where you can buy it for $5. The gas fee will be a couple cents, really cheap. And then you automatically get put into a raffle
Not
where you
automatically.
could,
They'll have to join.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you have to join. You buy it, but then you have to join the raffle. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some buy pressure in the ETH RPL pool and take that $100 or whatever it is. Or $100 in ETH and buy some RPL. And the winner of the raffle will get some RPL.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have that probably for next week's show. But here's what the POAP's gonna look like. Schifrin did a great job. My fault. I contacted him just yesterday, the last second, and said, "Hey, you want to do a POAP for us?" And he's like, "Yeah, that'd be cool. When do you need it?" I said, "Oh, well, tomorrow." He's like, "Oh, that's kind of tight." I said, "Oh, man, sorry." But he came through. Really appreciate that, Schifrin. He does a great job. A lot of the POAPs and all the artwork that you see through Rocket Pool, a lot of it's done by him. He does a really great job. So
Yeah.
thanks to you, Schifrin, for coming through. So keep an eye on this. We're going to do the sale. And if you get lucky, next week you'll get some RPL, right?
Yeah. Sounds great. I love it.
Yeah, cool. Um, okay, let's talk wins. You have a win for this week?
Maybe getting an airdrop. It always feels nice to get an airdrop. It's really funny because I was explaining, on the day before the airdrop, I was trying to like sort out my wallets. So I had like, a new ledger that I hadn't actually opened yet. So I loaded on my Node wallet keys onto it, and it took a little while to get everything organized and, find my keys and put them on there. And my wife was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this whole thing." And she's like, "Why are you doing it?" I said, "Oh, because I'm getting an airdrop." And she's like, "What's an airdrop again?" And I was like, "Oh, when you get money for free." She's like, "I don't understand you
What?
crypto guys." And I'm just like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. It's all good."
It's
So
free
it's,
money.
yeah. So it's like, no, like people outside of crypto, they just like don't understand the concept of airdrops. Like, you use a service. Sometimes you don't even use a service, right? You use a service and you get up to tens of thousands of dollars for free. And it's like, what? Like how? Like who? So
I
airdrop
know.
farming is pretty cool. It's good fun.
I know it is fun, and then I just laugh how a lot of the teams are just the legal advisors are telling them, "Oh, make sure you don't do it to U.S. residents or North Koreans." Like we're looped
Yeah.
in with like North Koreans, like to protect us,
Yeah.
because they're just afraid. It hasn't The SEC's never said you can't do an airdrop. It's just the teams are just like, "Oh, we don't even want to deal with that," right? So you got to go to Sweden, or you got to go to Canada, to claim it. But
Yeah. I
I
I
don't know,
went
man.
to Sweden, so Yeah,
Did you go to Sweden? Wow.
that's
Are
my
you
favorite
feeling
place to
jet
go.
lagged?
Actually, I just realized no, I'm not in Sweden anymore. So yeah, that's all good.
Oh,
But yeah,
oh,
I like to
that's
go to
great.
Sweden
Well, my
to
win for the week is
get my POAP,
the
sorry, my
50th episode
airdrops,
of
and
Weekly Orbit.
that's the
Uh,
that's the place to be.
yeah. So my win for the week is the 50th episode of the Weekly Orbit that we've been doing for about a year now. And I I've said the story before, but I've been involved with Rocket Pool, and I thought, how and what you put out a couple of years ago, you're like, hey, you could put a challenge out to everybody out there. What can you do? What can you do? Can you contribute? Can you contribute in Discord, or maybe you can write some software, or like a little, like what Romana does and makes, or I think McCartney, right, the Rocket Suite, right? But I'm not an engineer or developer. I don't know anything about writing software. I took two courses in college on Pascal. I learned how to write code in Pascal, which is really never easy. So I thought, well, what can I do? And I just thought, well, maybe we could do a podcast that doesn't require a lot of technical knowledge about software and thing. And I approached you at ETH Denver, and here we are about a year later. And the GMC has been very generous in funding us. So my call is out to people out there. If you've got an idea, jump in Discord or put an application in the GMC. They meet, every month, and contribute any way you can. Because
And
the community in Rocket Pool is so strong. It's one of our best features and attributes.
yeah, and reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll happily guide you however I can. To get you started with ideas or refining ideas potentially. Also, I'm on the GMC, so I can give you tips and advice about applying for grants or bounties or retroactive awards if that's the work you want to do. So yeah, reach out to me, and I need to get back on that. I need to put that challenge to the community more frequently. I haven't done it in a while
Yeah,
now, and I think we're ripe for some community activism and work. So we'll definitely get
yeah,
back
and
on that.
just like some one person comes to mind, Samus, who just came out of nowhere. He applied for the bounty for the tokenomics, and he's contributed significantly. So if you're as if there's any more Samuses out there sitting on the sidelines, just I'm going to give you a little nudge in the bum to do it.
Yeah,
Come up with whatever idea you think you have and contribute, and you can be compensated for it. And well, hey, that's
yeah,
that's the best. You're just not doing this on volunteer time. I mean, you can be paid. So,
yeah.
anyways,
And huge shout out to Halululo as well, because he also came out of nowhere and took over
yeah,
support basically and wrote
right,
Rocket Sweep, sorry, Rocket Scan, some no, not Rocket Scan, some kind of rocket sweeping thing, but the Discord analysis stuff. So he's been doing lots of work as well. So huge shout out to
yeah.
him, these new guys, really making a name for themselves in the community by doing the work that's needed. It's really cool.
Yeah, unsung heroes are the folks who work in the support channel for Discord. So that's
Yep.
another thing. If you are a little technical and you like running your node, you can start jumping in the support channel a couple hours a week, and
hmm
then you can apply
And
for
you
a
and you
grant.
get paid, yeah,
You get
$90 an
paid.
hour.
Yeah, you get paid good money to
Yeah,
just contribute. And you if you're that knowledgeable, you can get paid to just share your knowledge. I always
yeah,
thought, the best job whack in the world is being on the speaking circuit. People invite you to come to a conference, they pay for your hotel, your airfare, and then you get up there and you talk about something you like for 30 minutes, and then they hand you a check, and you're like, I would have been talking to my friends about the same thing, except you're paying me to do the same thing I would do with my friends. So if you're a technical person and you're helping out friends or what with their node, jump in the support channel and do it like an hour a day or a couple hours a week or whatever it is you can find time, and then apply for a grant, and the GMC will compensate you, because we need those people. We got node operators all around the world in every time zone, right? And so yeah, in the middle of the night in the United States, it's morning over in Europe, or anyways, you get my point. So I'll stop rambling. Anyways, have a good week, Whack. Thanks for everyone for listening and watching and being part of this awesome Rocket Pool community. Stay tuned for the raffle. We hope to see you next week, and we'll see you.
Bye.
Bye bye.